Hi, I'm Gabriel, and this is Learning English Path. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to simplify answers with elliptical sentences. What is an elliptical sentence, you might be asking yourself? And I'm going to answer your question. And we're going to have a few videos on elliptical sentences. This video is simply how to answer questions in a more simplified way with elliptical sentences. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. I do just want to encourage you to give the video a like if you find this lesson useful, because then we can all have more English learners find this video and talk with each other, right? And subscribe so you don't miss any more lessons like this. Okay, remember, I will have several videos on elliptical sentences. This is just the first one. It's the simplest and the easiest one, okay? And I also have a ton of other videos on learning English, right? I have videos on how you can learn English for yourself in a much better and faster and easier and deeper way. Okay, that's what Learning English Path is all about. Okay, and tell your friends about this channel, because like I said, the more people we can get, the better it will be for all of us to walk together and talk together, right? Okay, so do you know what an ellipsis is? Okay, I'm sure you've seen an ellipsis many times. It's those three dots together, okay? If you see a sentence and it's got ... that is called an ellipsis. So how can we make an elliptical sentence, right? An elliptical sentence, you might be able to see the similarity between the words ellipsis and elliptical, right? Well, an elliptical sentence does not mean a sentence with an ellipsis in it, not in print. Think about what an ellipsis does. What is the purpose of an ellipsis? Well, there are a few, but basically in all of them, it shows that there is information, or that there are some words that are missing from the sentence, that are cut, right? So maybe the words are irrelevant to what we need to know. So have you ever read like really long quotes of, maybe it's a quote by a famous person, they were speaking for a long time, and the quote wants to show you the relevant information that the person said. And so, because it's such a long quote, they need to cut some parts of it, some of the irrelevant parts of the quote. So what they do is they delete it and put an ellipsis, ... to show that, yes, this person did say something between those parts of the speech, but it's irrelevant. We don't need to know what those parts are for our purposes, okay? So that's one purpose, to cut irrelevant information. It could also be when someone trails off. So when someone starts talking about something and then starts mumbling, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then we just show an ellipsis to show that that's, again, it's irrelevant, okay? Irrelevancy. It's like then the person just started mumbling about something else, and that's not important, okay? And it could also be when someone really doesn't finish what they're saying. So maybe they stop and then they stop in the middle of the, okay, and then for some reason they stop. Now this could also be represented with an M dash, but it can be represented with an ellipsis as well. So it's cutting parts of the sentence or cutting parts of the information. And the last use is to emphasize a state of surprise or speechlessness and show that maybe the person is still thinking, right? The thought continues, but there are no more words because they're so surprised or so deep in thought, right? So for example, if I send a message on the phone to a friend asking in a very urgent way, have you seen, have you seen Adam? And then the person replies back to me, no, ... right? No, ellipsis. That means no, but then it's obvious that the person is thinking about where could he be? Or why do you want to know? Right? Maybe no, ... is showing that they're still thinking about something, but they don't know what to say. Okay? Or maybe the person can just send the ellipsis to show that they're speechless about something, right? They don't know what to say. Maybe they've got too many thoughts and they don't know what to say. They're just like, oh, okay. That's also a way of using an ellipsis. Now, so again, those are a lot of different ways to use an ellipsis. But what is an elliptical sentence exactly? Well, this is when we're speaking and we cut irrelevant information, or not irrelevant information necessarily, but irrelevant words. And in this lesson on answering questions, it is really... we can really see this when we are answering questions in a short way. Okay, for example, and they still make sense. Okay, that's very important. The elliptical sentence makes sense in context of the conversation. So it would not make sense if there were no question, but as an answer to a question, it makes sense. So the easiest example is if someone asks me, do you like apples? And I answer, yes. That's an elliptical sentence. The word yes as an answer is an elliptical sentence because I'm not using a full sentence to answer the question. I'm not saying, yes, I like apples. I'm just saying, yes, which is not actually a full sentence. It's an elliptical sentence because it omits the information, I like apples. But we still understand each other, right? We understand the meaning because the person asked the question. So we understand the word yes in context of what the conversation is about, right? All right. So what's interesting is that, I was an English teacher for many, many years in a school, and we, as the teachers, we want students who are beginners to use full sentences all the time. So if the question is, what do you have? I am trying to get the student to answer me in a full sentence saying, I have a pencil. right? Or whatever they have. So I don't want them to just say a pencil, because they're not, I can't see that they are learning the grammar there, right? I want to see evidence that they are learning the grammar. I have a pencil. So when you're a beginner learning English, you won't really be taught about elliptical sentences. You won't be taught that it's very common to just say a pencil, because that's not considered to be a full sentence in English. But it's much more common among native speakers to use an elliptical sentence, because that's understood in context, right? So before we continue with this lesson on elliptical sentences, I want to say that only practice this if you are sure that you already know the grammar, okay? You are an expert with this kind of simple grammar that we're using in this lesson. Because if you're not, then it's the lazy way to use an elliptical sentence to avoid learning the grammar, because you still need the grammar if it's not in context, right? You still need to know how to say, I have a pencil. You still need to know how to say, I like apples, or whatever the grammar is. You need to say that when it's not answering a question. I'm teaching you how to use an elliptical sentence in a more natural way when you're answering a question, okay? When it's in context, when it's understood, okay? But don't let this be an excuse to avoid learning grammar, all right? So let's start with let's continue with some examples. So this one. These are some examples actually of non-elliptical sentences, okay? So what I want you to try to do is change the non-elliptical sentence into an elliptical sentence, all right? So the question is, do you like apples? And I answer in a full sentence, yes, I like apples. So this is how we learn as a beginner. If you're a non-native speaker, you will learn it this way to learn the grammar, right? But it's not how ordinary native speakers speak. So how would you change that? How would it be an elliptical sentence? Right? It would just be yes. Or you could say, yes, I do. Right? So you're changing it a little bit there, and you're changing the verb essentially, but still you can only understand that sentence, yes, I do, in context of the conversation, right? Now don't make the mistake of just omitting the noun, because that's not right. If you just say, yes, I like, no. You need to change the word like to do, right? That's a very common mistake when people are trying to incorporate elliptical sentences into their English. They think they can just cut the noun and leave the verb in a yes or no question, leave the same verb, but omit the noun. No, it needs to change to do, right? Yes, I do, not yes, I like. All right, the next one. Do you have a pencil? Now, in this example, the answer would be, the full sentence would be, yes, I have a pencil. I don't know if you can hear, by the way, but there's a big rainstorm happening outside. So if you can hear lots of rain, it's because it's raining very hard outside, okay? It's a little bit distracting, but I'll continue. So, do you have a pencil? the answer is, yes, I have a pencil. And how would you turn that into an elliptical sentence? Of course, you can just say, yes. But you could also say, yes, I, right? Yes, I do. Not, yes, I have, right? That doesn't, that doesn't work so well here, okay? So, yes, I do. Now, the next one, what do you like to do in the evenings? Now, the full sentence would be, let's use an example. I like to read books. I like to read books in the evenings. Well, how would you change this into an elliptical sentence? You could just say, read books, right? And, more commonly, native speakers would probably go off a bit and say something like, well, sometimes I read books. Okay. But here, all we're doing is we're giving the one simple answer, but with an elliptical sentence. The last one, what's this? So if I have this, right? And I say, what's this? The full sentence would be, it's a phone. But you can just say, a phone, right? Not just phone. No. You still need the article there. You still need the article before the noun. So you still need to say a phone. But you don't need to say it's, because, that's the full sentence. But if we're in the context of a conversation, it will be much easier just to say a phone, okay? And much more natural also. So again, I only want you to practice these if you're sure you know the grammar, okay? Because you need the grammar when you're not answering the questions. And another thing to point out as well, if the question is asked in, let's say, the past tense, you still have to answer in the past tense. Okay? It can be an elliptical sentence, but you still need to use the right tense. It doesn't mean that you're not using the correct grammar. Okay? For example, if I ask you, what did you do last night? You can say, I read books. Okay? Or you can even omit the person there, right? The subject, the personal pronoun. That's what I was looking for. You can omit the pronoun and just say read books. Okay? But you can't just say read books. Okay? You still need to use the correct tense. An elliptical sentence just omits information. It doesn't mean strip it down to its barest base form. Okay? All right, so let's have some practice questions now. I'll ask you 5 questions, and I want you to answer by speaking the answer, and then put the answer in the comments, okay? I would love for you to answer these questions in the comments. Okay, so question 1. What do you want to do tomorrow? Okay. Question 2. What do you want from the shop? Okay. Number 3. Do you like the Beatles? The music group, the Beatles? Okay. Question 4. Do you have milk in your fridge? Okay, and the last one, what did you do last week? All right. Please put the answers in the comments so that I know that you understand what an elliptical sentence is. And keep learning, my friend, and keep going.